Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cacao Conversations with Graciela and Julieta.
Good morning, world. Sorry, I'm going to take my little morning pills while we're chatting. I'm a little behind this morning. It's been madness.
Well, once you finish swallowing your magic pills there, tell us about the madness.
Well, I have to tell you, I am actually pretty lucky. So obviously I'm talking about Hurricane Helene. I was looking at a map the other day of counties without power, and the map goes from Tampa, Florida, through Georgia, through North Carolina, and then keeps on going all the way up to like Indiana. Like, I don't even know where Indiana was. I don't think I've looked at that since like 7th grade geography. I didn't. I have no business in Indiana, so I didn't know. But um, all the way, it's just a big, huge, giant snake, of no electricity. And when I tell you that my county is right on the edge of that, like the very, it's like the first county that has power. So I am very lucky in that I did not lose power at all. This might be the first hurricane I've ever been through where we didn't lose power. So that part, I feel very fortunate. Like, obviously I didn't lose power. I didn't have any, big losses in the house or anything like that. So I'm super grateful. But we are absolutely surrounded by destruction. And it's just really sad, everything that we see and hear. And, right now it's still let's see, today's October 1st. So it's still in the beginning stages where they're still trying to rescue people. They're still trying to, it's going to switch from rescue to recovery pretty soon. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bodies, it's a lot. The death toll is going to be a lot higher than I think we're hearing. But the encouraging thing, which is really kind of cool, is seeing not just the governmental agencies that are out there, but just good old fashioned regular people that have teamed up to go rescue people. Like, you see, I get all my information off of TikTok. I think it's the best firsthand accounts that there are. There's something called the Cajun Navy. It's just a group of guys that got their stuff together and went out there, and they're just like making shit happen. There's another one called the Good Samaritan's Purse. I guess that's a bigger organization, but they're kind of doing like Red Cross type stuff, where they have giant, what are those? I don't know, not buses, but like a big, trailer, I guess. And they're going out there and doing as best they can. But half the issues that there are literally no roads at all. So, right, it's not like in South Florida where generally what happens is trees fall down, a bulldozer comes through, pushes everything to the side. Like, even when the ocean sand, would come up over A1A, really, to get things going, all you got to do is kind of push it out of the way. Here, the ground literally fell from under the roads. So there are no roads. There is no ground to push out of the way. It's literally just not there. So anyway, I don't mean to ramble, but I'm equal parts hopeful and terrified for everything, because what happens when all these people come out of their area? It's not like, again, in Florida, if something bad would happen, you would still stay in your house, kind of like to protect your homestead, like what little you have. There's nothing. There is no homestead. There's entire towns that are completely gone. Like, if you just went to Las Olas and put your hand on one end and just shoved everything off the edge of the table, it looks like that. Chimney Rock gone, right? So anyway, it's just it's a lot, and I recognize that I have the privilege of saying that from my well-lit, well air-conditioned, safe home, so anyway,
I'm just kind of blown away by like, this is all area inland. Like, we always think of hurricanes hitting, ocean areas, and I'm like, has this ever happened before where it's just gone up through the middle of the country?
So it's kind of funny you should say that, because someone said, this is not a 1 in a 100 year storm. This is a not since the time of Noah storm. Like, that's how much it doesn't happen here. Kind of like how people say, like, when it snows in Atlanta, the city shuts down because they're not really prepared for it. They don't invest in the machinery that you need to really deal with crazy winters, because it doesn't happen so often. So up here, same thing, and unfortunately there's a lot of poverty. So you can't just get out. There's nowhere to go. You're leaving what only thing you have. And I mean, my house here, it's literally all windows. We don't have hurricane shutters.
And you just froze. But you froze in a kiss, so that's beautiful.
Can you hear me or no? Even
Now
when
we
it
can.
freezes, can you hear me or no?
Yes, I can hear you now.
But
you froze for a minute, but you were froze in a beautiful kiss pose. Oh, and she froze again. Anyway, while she's frozen, we will talk. Super happy that she is okay, and sending lots of prayers and healing energy and everything to all of those that are not as lucky as Graciela was. In South Florida here, we're super used to hurricanes, and, we make light of them a lot. And, but this has been really, really devastating for many parts of the country. And so we send lots of love and prayers to all of those who've been so devastatingly affected by this, by Helene. So you're back, Graciela.
I'm back. Just, that Wi-Fi is working as hard as it can. We still don't have 5G. Like, I still don't have, like, my phone doesn't work when I drive. It only works here because I'm using Wi-Fi calling, and even then I'm only, I talk to my mom. That's the only person I've talked to, who, by the way, in funny was
No.
like, what? There was, like, days ago, lots of the destruction. She's like, oh, that's interesting. So listen, I've been watching da-da-da-da-da. Like, okay. Things are starting to go a little. Things are starting to slip a little, but my mom's still funny, so I'll give her that. She's always funny.
So we only got about half of that story, Graciela.
So, it's all good. It's all good. What's going on down there? Tell me. Business as usual.
So down here, it's a normal hot and sunny day. And so I will say, the temperatures are starting to cool off a little bit, which is, makes me very happy. And yeah, it's all the normal, usual stuff down here.
What's funny is that when I was little, I used to hear adults talking about the weather, and I used to think, oh my God, this is so boring. Like, if you want to look at the weather, just go outside, and now it absolutely consumes the vast majority of my day. And every phone call I have, the first thing people ask me about is the weather. Yeah, I'm old. I walked into a Rotary Club meeting yesterday. Like, there was supposed to be a speaker, but then of course that person canceled and whatnot. But I went to the meeting, just to check it out. And every single person in the room had gray hair like me. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my new reality. This is it. I've crossed over.
And, but you know what? Like, I hope it's not still in, but that whole trend when people who didn't have gray hair were dyeing their hair gray. It's cool to have gray hair.
Someone, I think it was my sister, she sent me an article that said, like, something like, after you die, your hair continues to grow, but I don't know if it grows back gray. I think it might grow back like your original color. So she was, so interesting. I don't know.
Fun
anyway,
facts.
I pulled out, I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully it won't glitch, but this is my duality for today, because I feel a little bit of that. And then I also feel just, this. So
both. It's okay to feel both.
Well, and that's what kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Like, I know our topic is what's your favorite crystal for healing and why, and we can still talk about that. But I did want to talk a little bit about grief and fear and just kind of going through it. I think that it's important to go. You have to. I don't think there's any way around it. You have to go through it to get out of it. And so to anyone out there who is trying to keep a happy face on and, stay hopeful and all of that good stuff, which is beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. I think hope is the only thing that pushes us forward. I think hope is the most, I think hope might even outweigh love. And I know that that's controversial for you because you're like, love is most important.
I will just say hope is a form of love.
I'll say that.
And everything that isn't love is fear.
Yeah.
So grief is fear, anger is fear, like all of those negative emotions are fear, and all of the positive emotions are love. So joy is love, hope is love.
I like that. I can see that. But I think they're all important, and I think they're all part of the human experience, So I've really this last couple of days have been sitting with both a heavy amount of grief and a large amount of hope. Like, I'm about to take a really giant step in my business, which is terrifying and is going to leave me very vulnerable. And I don't know, part of me is like, is now the right time? I'm in the middle of all this devastation. Maybe I need to give it a minute. I think I have a little bit of like COVID PTSD, but, and also, I'm hopeful, and I was hopeful during COVID, and that time period in my business was actually really, really great. My family is safe. My people are safe. And if I'm safe, there's other safe people too that want to feel normal. So anyway, I'm sorry to make it about me. But just know that you're allowed to feel grief and sadness. And, the key is not to get stuck in it, to balance it out with a healthy bit of hope and carry on. I know that we laugh now, pop culture, keep calm and carry on. But honestly, that's a brilliant slogan,
Yeah. And, I deal with emotions in every day with my clients, and you always have to feel your feels. And when you choose to, ignore them, stuff them down, hide them, they're going to come back and bite you in the butt. So you're much better
or in your back or in your liver or in your kidney.
Exactly. And then we got to dig them out. And so feel your feels, but don't get stuck in them.
Did you watch the Gabor Mate thing I sent you?
Yes, I did. And yeah, he's an amazing human being and such a gift to everyone in the realm of emotions and healing. And so
that's amazing. So I for those listening, I mentioned to Julieta, Dr. Gabor Mate. I've been following his work for a couple of years now. I think since the pandemic, actually. And he talks a lot about what Julieta just said, that you have to feel the feels and you have to go through it. And his, you can go on YouTube and consume a lot of his content for free. There are short snippets if that's what you need to fit into your day. If you have 2 or 3 hours, I highly, highly, highly recommend. The last one I saw, and I'll post a link in the comments on this to it. He spoke in Copenhagen, and it was 3 hours of the most telling, eye-opening things that you think you already know, but you needed to hear it. I really think every human being should hear it. And the sooner the better. He talks a lot about trauma and what is trauma. Trauma, he says, is not an event that happens to you, but the wound that you receive as a result of that event. And that's something that can be, addressed. And the more you name it, the better off you are. I can't remember the exact numbers, but he talked so much about how women over a certain age have this high occurrence of like arthritis. And then he dives into why that is. And then it turns out that women are carrying the emotional load of the family, and that correlation is way stronger than anything else, more than the food that you're eating, more than the air you're breathing. So there's a lot there, especially I think for women. He talked about psychedelics a little bit.
Yeah,
There's
no,
a lot
I
of
definitely
really
know he's well known in the realm of psychedelics as well.
yeah.
And which they are such a powerful healing modality for that emotional side. And my background is in physical therapy, and everything I was taught about physical pain is correcting the physical problems. And it didn't take long for me to see and figure out that I would go so far as to say all physical pain has an emotional component to it, and some physical pain is 100% emotional. There is no physical component to it. So when you're treating pain and you're not looking at the emotional side of it, you're not going to get there. So kudos to the people that can find the voice to be out there in front of people, that it's like I feel I'm watching Gabor Mate and going like, yeah, I've said that. Yeah, I've said that. I've said that. And I'm just not as famous as he is. So, but it's important that there are people getting the message out there to everyone, so that they can just, even if they just start to consider that their emotions can be what is, and I was talking about physical pain because that's mostly what people have come to me historically, but all disease in general, like, ugh. And
Even the story he told about the girl with lupus, right? Like, there are so many stories, and I should probably stop calling them stories and call them like accounts or testimonies or something, so that people understand that it's real. But this woman with lupus, in one of his examples, he shows a picture of her, he shows a picture of her hands. They talk about this method and they go through it, and the next set of pictures, she doesn't look like that. She physically doesn't look like that. And then the next set of pictures after that, somebody who was ready to die is married and having children and living a full life. And if you listen to, I don't even want to call them the wrong people, because it's not their fault, right? Like, doctors are trained in a very specific way, and I appreciate
are
that.
brainwashed in a very specific way.
But
I just said that on camera.
and I don't disagree. And I do think that there's a place for everything. That's my personal opinion. I think that, these little magic pills that I'm taking, like, I'm happy to have them. I'm happy to take them. They're the bridge that I need to get where I need to go. And I recognize how heavy of an influence my life experiences have on my present physical condition. The weight, that those two things are given, it's so far off. I talk about my friend Chloe all the time. When I tell you that I saw Chloe with MS is a debilitating, brutal disease. The woman could not walk to her mailbox without having to lay down for 3 days. That's not an exaggeration. I saw it with my own eyes. And today she's living in Mexico, MS free, walking up and down those hills of San Miguel de Allende that had me huffing and puffing. And I'm 20 years her junior. And she's there just walking around like, in a flowy dress, like with the breeze in her hair, like healthy as could possibly be, medication free. Like, it's just, there's too much evidence to show that handling your shit makes you healthier.
100%.
Anyway, I wish we had a guest on the show so we could chit chat a little bit more about that, but it's yeah, so don't give up. Just because you have something or you've been told you have something or whatnot, there's a million ways out. There really are. I believe that.
Absolutely. I'm dealing with a client right now who has um, all kinds of neurologic problems that no medical doctor has been able to give her an answer to. And I'm curious to see where this goes with her, because she's so stuck in a loop that uh, yes, she created it because it's her and her life, but she created it based on what our society projects out there as what is real and what is not real. And I'm actually going to share Chloe's book with her, and hopefully she will get some hope from that. But I'm
And
like,
I'll
I was
say,
just gonna
like,
say, you can keep going in the medical industry. It's not ever going to give you the answer that you're searching for, and so we have to completely shift into a different way of thinking, a different way of being, and she says she's on board, so we'll see where it goes.
that's
And
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome. I have enough hope for me and for her. You tell her I said that. Like, the again, the some might call them miracles. The miracles I've seen, all of that, all, like, from everything I've ever seen, it comes from within you. It does not come from an outside source. And I think that's the first step, is that realizing that your salvation is not outside of you, it's within you. And I do think, like, it's uncomfortable. There's a lot of grief that goes with accepting that reality, and I think that's why, so many of us avoid it, because you're telling me that I'm 50 and this whole time I had the power. Like, man, what an idiot, like, and so and even the highest and smartest and best still suffer. I don't know if you picked up on the story. Gopur Mate, I think, is 80. And he's been in this field his whole entire life. And he was telling the story that he came to the airport after, doing a big tour, and his wife was supposed to pick him up, but she's an artist and, a little flighty, and she was in her artist mode, and she called him and she's like, I know you just landed, but I forgot. Can you just take a cab home? And he said, sure, okay. And then he was mad at her for like 2 days straight. And he was so wounded that, she didn't remember to come pick him up. And this is a guy who's doing the work. He's 80 years old. He has his whole life experience, and he's still at the affect of himself, and he realized, because his wife said, like, are you done yet? Like, are you going to let this go? And he said in that moment is when he realized, oh my God, I'm acting out a childhood trauma. I'm acting out something that happened when he was a baby. He felt abandoned as a baby, right? So we don't even have memories of these things, and they're still sitting inside of us. So I would say every time that we feel, oh, this is just how I am, no, this is just something that you were exposed to that you don't even remember, and could you face that head on? And so, of course, once he recognized it, he released the charge. He was no longer angry, and he was, he was almost like excited, I guess, that his wife is such a great artist, that she was so deep in her art that she forgot. And isn't that amazing? Like, isn't that beautiful, that she's able to get lost in her art? So heal, people. That's all I can say. Make the time, make the space, come to our retreat. Like, that's what it's for.
Well, and that's exactly why we have these things is, over the years I've shifted, when people, ask, like, what do you do? What I do now is I help people remember who they truly are. And that's a big portion of what our retreats are about, is supporting you in that remembering process. And but I do want to talk about our topic today, because I have mine right here. So this is labradorite, and like you can see, like on on certain levels, it just looks like this gray, brown, black stone. But when the light hits it, magic happens.
It is very magical.
And it is by many called the stone of magic. So labradorite, and it's not a rare stone. What I will say is, to find the stones that have those super magical flashes within them, like that can be a little bit of a challenge. But like it's common enough that people like even have like countertops and stuff made from this stone. One of my clients actually does, and I'm like, my secret fantasy is to like go and like sleep on our counter one night so I can like absorb all the magic of labradorite for an evening.
I love that. I'm sure it could be arranged. That's
so
hysterical.
But do you have a favorite healing crystal?
I'll say that the one that I tend to hang out with the most is that giant lapis lazuli that I have. I always find that my illnesses, I don't know, come from what am I feeling and not saying. Like I'm very throat chakra based, like that's, just my thing right now. And it has such a weight to it, combined with, I don't know, the magic that it has, that there are days that I will wear it and literally after a couple of hours, it feels like 1,000 pounds on my chest and I have to take it off and literally take a deep breath and catch my breath, which is fascinating because the stone is all of, I don't know, 2 inches, in diameter. But for me, healing is speaking my truth. Healing is letting things out. That's probably why I talk so much, is that I'm trying to I'm trying to just empty this vessel. So yeah,
I will say though, like, speaking like you're talking about the throat chakra for you, but in my experience, because I work with the chakras every day in my office, and I've not sat like, because I'm not that person. Like I should have like a little dry erase board where I can like put a slash, each time a chakra turns up to be like the primary source of the problem. But the throat chakra, I think by far and like wins like the most amount of times that it comes up in a session. And I really feel like it's a global issue right now. And so kudos to everybody who's working on healing that throat chakra, working on speaking their truth and being authentic, because it doesn't just help you, it helps the entire world when you do that. So
I do think it really is about authenticity, right? It's who are you pretending to be? Who is it that you are trying to be that's not who you are, and how much happier are you when you do lean into being yourself, and how much more exciting is the world when you are yourself, I think I'll speak for myself, when I see people that I know are not being themselves, that they're kind of just, I don't know, faking it. I don't know how else to say it. Like when I see people that are trying to be something that they're not, and I mean that in the broadest sense possible, with the largest brush strokes, whether it's physically, mentally, behavior, whatever it might be. To me, you look unhappy. Like I know you think you look cute, but to me, you look unhappy. And I'm not talking about the obvious like plastic surgery or anything like that. Like do what you do, enjoy your life. I have no issues with that, but it's like when you see someone who is that society might label as like a little bit off or crazy or unique or whatever, man, they're being themselves and they're so happy being themselves. And that's how I see it, because they're free, they have no cares. They're like, I feel phenomenal, like I don't care if you like me or not. That statement right there, I don't care if you like me or not, I think that would resolve so much. Like if we all just stopped caring what each other thought, you'd be free. You'd be free.
yes. And feeling free is another form of love.
Here's to that.
Like I can say 1,000%. I could talk for hours about all of this stuff. It's because I talk about it all day, every day. And most of the wounds that we're walking around and holding on to are a part of us not being our true authentic self. And the more you can step into your truth, um, the easier it is to release those traumas and just step into a joyful, happy, loving, free life. So you be you.
That's it. That's it. And if you looks like Betsy Johnson, all, wackadoodle in a million colors, like live your life large, man. Do what makes you happy. Like be the weird kid. That's fun.
We need more. One of my favorite memes that pops up from time to time on social media is shine your weirdo light bright so the other weirdos can find you.
Totally.
Anyway, you got anything else for today?
I don't think so. We've talked everyone ears off. Thank you
Yes,
guys, everybody who has reached out, checking on me. I appreciate you. Know that I'm okay, and I'm going to do my best to continue creating spaces here that feel safe now more than ever. And if you guys get any time to look at hurricane relief, things like that, even if all you do is, have them in your thoughts. Everybody laughs at thoughts and prayers, and thoughts and prayers don't, solve everything. I believe that we need a lot of action too, but it starts with the thoughts and it starts with the prayers. I think if we really all did take that seriously, instead of using it with each other sarcastically, I think the world could really benefit from that. So send money and thoughts and prayers. We accept them all.
absolutely. All right. With that, I think that's a wrap. And if anybody needs to know what else is going around in the Body and Soul Ministry world, you can check out our 2 websites scrolling past on the ticker tape there. Lots of stuff going on to help you step into your authenticity and self-love. And let's heal this world. All right. Have a magical day, everyone.
Bye.